My name is Advait. I'm the co-founder and CEO of AI, the platform to radically improve the sustainability and operational performance of your supply chains. Um, so today, companies are struggling with manual supplier due diligence and performance management, and it is costing them tens of millions of dollars. The direct costs are fairly obvious as supply chains get more complex and larger. The human resource to manage all of this data, create risk maps, etc., balloons. But I would argue the indirect costs are much worse. It is taking companies longer to get product to market because of all this compliance and due diligence needs, which is resulting in market share loss. And any error in the supply chain compliance or due diligence can also result in a complete standstill in the supply chain. For example, last year this happened to Volkswagen, where they had to impound around 8,000 cars at the border of the United States because it was suspected that one part in their supply chain was using forced labor. And as a result, it's not only costing them tens of millions of dollars in just stopping their supply chain, they had to go and identify which supplier and replace them. And a lot of this stuff is done using a process of auditing. So the way this works today is a bit like this. Brands work with thousands of factories all over the world. And every year, sometimes more frequently, each and every one of these factories send back health and safety, social audits, environmental audits, certifications, just a ton of data. What these brands then do is they hire an army of consultants, usually external consultants, because just so much data, or analysts, who then spend up to 16 hours per report, because it's worth noting these are hundreds of pages per report, to do a few things. One, they check for their supplier compliance standards, over 100 compliance items. Most of our customers have 300 to 400 compliance items. Then they create something called a risk score for that factory based on the product, the region, and of course the audit. And then finally, they create something called a corrective action plan to improve this supplier over time. And this is then sent to the supplier and tracked through a ton of clerical work on Excel sheets. As you can imagine, this entire process is extremely slow, it is manual, error prone, and expensive. What we do is we automate this entire process using AI agents, all the way from collecting all of this unstructured data right from the factories. They come in all sorts of languages, frameworks, formats. We automatically generate the risk score and then generate the corrective action plan that gets sent to the factories and tracked on our platform. Since our launch mid last year, we went from zero to $135,000 in ARR within 8 months. Today, we are closer to 170. We are currently live with 5 enterprises, including publicly listed companies, primarily in the apparel sector. And for these companies, we have brought down the 16 hours taken per supplier down to about now 5 minutes or so. Over 1,000 factories and suppliers' data has been onboarded on our platform, and we have a large waitlist of customers that we are today onboarding onto our platform. The way our business model works is we charge per factory profile per year on our platform. This is an example of a recent contract we signed with a large publicly listed manufacturer of apparel. Year one is $70,000, and it goes all the way up to $250,000 for year four. The reason for that is, since we charge per factory or per supplier on our platform, we charge about $500. They want to start with their tier one suppliers, their strategic suppliers, and then roll this out throughout their tier one, tier two, tier three in their supply chains. So the way supply chains work is you have supplier, then you have supplier, supplier, and then you have your supplier, supplier, supplier. So you can imagine this goes on, and this gets rolled out through the entirety of the supply chain. This is our founding team. My name is Advait, as I mentioned. My background is actually in AI and its application in sustainable supply chain, which was the focus of my research at Cornell. I've been in the AI space for the past 5+ years. Straight from undergrad, I was an early engineer at an AI startup based in New York, where we built AI agents for legacy industries. And this was before the GPT era. And towards the end of my time there, I could see where a lot of this technology was going, and we wanted to do something in the impact space, for which I came to Cornell. And this was spun out from Cornell. I'm my co-founders, Aprajita. She's a two-time founder and our chief operating officer. She has over 4 years of experience across ops, strategy, and marketing, and an MBA from Cornell. There is Ken. He's also technical like me, our chief product officer with a master's in information science from Cornell. But more importantly, he has a very deep understanding of supply chains, because he practically grew up in the factories that that are represented on our platform because of his family's business of manufacturing apparel back in China. So he brings together that supplier perspective to our product as we sell into the brands and the retailers. And finally, we got Isha, who is our chief AI officer, an LLM researcher who did her undergrad and master's in Cornell. We also have a set of fabulous advisors who have got large 7 to 8 figure exits in this social and environmental audit space. And Nadia, who was a former SVP of product at a leading supply chain transparency company, SourceMap. We are strategically capturing the massive supplier management market. So we are starting with our explicit beachhead, which is responsible and ethical sourcing, which is about a $4.5 billion market, which will lead us to the larger supplier performance due diligence market. And the reason for this is we enter a company system with a 10x workflow improvement. So today that workflow improvement is in social and environmental audit analysis. But when we enter their supply chain, we drive them to migrate their entire supply chain data on our platform, which is who their factories are, what products they make, their spend, etc. And then we use the same data for other cross-functional use cases. Essentially, we end up becoming their irreplaceable cross-functional system of record for their most valuable data when it comes to their supply chains, which is supplier performance, capability, and risk. What we are doing is we are productizing a service-based industry. So traditionally, our biggest competitors are consultants themselves. In all our current companies, we are replacing the consultants and automating it, thereby freeing up those resources to actually give more support to the suppliers. And yeah, these are some big names in the space, EcoVadis, Advait. What we are doing is also not tapping into a new process. This process has existed for several decades: health and safety, social, labor compliance, and we are just using AI agents to automate it. We just closed out our pre-seed round. I'm happy to announce it this week. We are closing it out. This round is to accelerate expansion, onboard 15 to 20 customers, get us to $3 to $4 million in ARR over the next 18 months, and expanding our product beyond the initial sustainability wedge, only because already our customers, as I mentioned, are asking to automate further workflows. Just as a quick ask, we do have carved out $100,000 friends and family TU vehicle for smaller angel checks that is still open. And if you're interested in joining us for our mission to make more sustainable, better supply chains, would love to chat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Advait. Congratulations on actually sticking to the time. I think we have a few minutes for questions before we transition to the next presenter, if anyone has questions. I don't see anything here. Yeah, I would say I would definitely encourage people, if you want to chat with Advait later at the networking session, find his room or table, and hopefully you can connect with him there and have more conversations. Thanks again, Advait. I also would like to recognize briefly Sarah Ward, who is our tech support in the background. She's running all the magic and bringing people onto the stage here.